Everybody, this is Nate doing kind of another day hike, peak bagging type adventure. I started off from the Serpent Lake Trailhead around 5:45 this morning. It's about 7:30 now, so we've been hiking for about an hour and 45 minutes, gone 3¼ miles, I think. Not a great pace. That's because of two reasons. One, this area's gotten tons of snow. The whole Sangre de Cristo range in New Mexico, just I think something like more than double an average snow year. It's early June right now, getting kind of close to mid-June. So to see these areas still so snow covered, it's good from a fire perspective, but for a recreation perspective, in the short term anyway, it's not too great. But I did come prepared. I have snowshoes, I have gaiters, I have poles. I didn't bring traction or ice axe. Don't think I'd need those. I think more likely I'm going to encounter slushy snow, not really like hard ice. And the mountains I'm trying to do are pretty sloping anyway. They're not really like jagged peaks where I think I need grip like that. Another reason why this area, why the traction, or not traction, but why the terrain has been so rough is because we're pretty much in the thick of what was the Hermit Peak Calf Canyon fire, as you can unfortunately tell around me. This area was really, really badly burned in summer of 2022. It was a fire that was started by the Forest Service and then ballooned into what became the largest fire in New Mexico history, at least recorded history anyway. They're getting sued out the wazoo. I'm sure my opinion is that, yes, well, the Forest Service started it, and it was really windy when they started it. I was very surprised that they started it, especially given the drought-like conditions. But this whole area was pretty much a tinderbox already, and I think if they hadn't started it, some lightning or some jerk-off doing an illegal campfire or something like that, or smoking, probably would have started it anyway. The peak, I actually have not mentioned the peak we're heading up to yet. The Serpent Lake Trailhead, that is on like the northeast side of the Pecos Wilderness, which is in northern New Mexico in the Santa Fe, Las Vegas area, farther south than Taos, not quite that far north. But where we're headed right now is to Trouble Benchmark. That is kind of our main goal for the day. It's going to be a long hike. I expect I will have to don snowshoes at some point, probably as we switch back up to the divide. I'm really, really hoping that when we get to the top of the divide, there's not a lot of snow because it's so exposed and sun-beaten. Yeah, I'm sort of optimistic about that. It would definitely be a relief if that were the case. The hike would go a lot faster. Of course, if you don't know much about New Mexico mountains, the way I kind of see it is that like New Mexico 12ers are kind of like Colorado 14ers. Obviously, Colorado 14ers are a lot more impressive for the most part, but if you live in New Mexico and you want to bag a bunch of high peaks, it's pretty achievable to bag all of the 12ers, in a lifetime. There are only like 36 ranked ones, and then some other ones that are unranked that you should probably do them because they're pretty significant peaks like Walter Peak and Old Mike Peak and so on. And so I think I am pretty close to being halfway done with that list. And so doing Trouble Benchmark and then knocking out a couple more this summer, I think should bring me to halfway. So looking forward to that. I think I've sat here yapping enough. Let's continue our hike and hopefully we don't run into too much snow. The snowshoes are on. This trail switches back, but I'm probably just going to head straight up on the snow if it's good enough.
been almost 5 years to the day that I was on this divide last, and man, it is just stunningly beautiful. I really hope that anybody that thinks that New Mexico is just flat desert and that it's hot all the time watches this video and sees that that couldn't be farther from the truth. So I'm not exactly sure which peak is Trouble. I think it's the one right in front of me in the distance. So it looks like I have about 3 small humps to go before I get to Trouble. I'll turn you around. But we're pretty high up right now. We're about 12,250 feet, which means that we only have less than, 400 feet of elevation to gain to hit Trouble. And there's really not a lot of undulation up and down. It is a little bit far. My guess is we're looking at about 3 miles one way to get to Trouble, but the weather is completely clear for the day. No snow on the divide like I was optimistic and hoping of. This is just, I am elated right now. This is awesome. Check out the train of cairns that goes down, 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 follows that dirt route. That may be Trouble, that may be, I think that's a false summit on the way up to Trouble, but Trouble should be right behind it. Home stretch. I'm not sure any way is going to be better than the other, so we'll see, I might just cut out the side here. Okay, I'm not sure if this is the summit or if that over there is the summit, so let's go to both. Well, I don't see a benchmark here. Let's check this one out. I don't see a benchmark here either, but I'm pretty sure we're at or near the summit. Very awesome. All right, we made it. Trouble benchmark. Pretty interesting peak. Not very jagged, not technical or anything, just sort of like a straightforward hike once we got out of the burn scar and flooding slash snow. And just beautiful. I mean, the Santa Barbara Divide never disappoints. It is probably one of the most beautiful, well, it is one of the most beautiful places in New Mexico. Last time I was up here, I summited Jicarita Peak in like, I think it was June 7th, 2018. I remember it distinctly because the Santa Fe National Forest had closed due to fire danger. And so we actually,
accessed via the Carson National Forest. Did not take the Serpent Lake Trailhead though, came up via Santa Barbara, which is a much longer and more elevation gain hike. So I have been in this area before, and because of the fire danger, there were fires elsewhere, either in Arizona or whatever, and it was just super smoky, couldn't really see anything. It's awesome to be out here and get a really, really nice view. Ironically, New Mexico and the Southwest in general seems to be the only place in America that's not being inundated with forest fire smoke, which, you know, it's a good thing for New Mexico, but not a good thing for everywhere that is affected by those fires. Of course, this is a beautiful 12,000 foot peak in New Mexico. There's only like 36 of them. I consider this peak to be part of the smiley face, which is kind of what I call this region in my head of the Pecos Wilderness. And there's a bunch of peaks there that I haven't hit yet because they're kind of just long trips, really long day hikes or backpacking trips. If you paid attention to my videos, you might remember that I mentioned something about a baby break, a baby watch, waiting for my daughter to be born. Well, unexpectedly, that baby watch ended quite soon after I kind of made my last hiking video, which was Memorial Day weekend. She was actually born the Tuesday after Memorial Day. It was quite funny. I was hiking in the Pecos Wilderness on Hamilton Mesa with my parents and my son, and Hamilton Mesa, beautiful, beautiful meadows at center of the Pecos, overlook everything south of the Santa Barbara Divide. We get to the first set of meadows. Up until this point, I had no signal. Not even, pretty much since I left the town of Pecos, I had no signal. And in this meadow, I got 1 bar of signal. In that time, when I got that 1 bar of signal, which was maybe like 5 or 10 minutes, I got a text from my wife, and then she immediately called me saying that she was feeling labor pains and going to the hospital. So we rushed back because my son was, you know, between admission and birth, was 4 hours for my son. So we expected this could be quick. I was actually nervous I was not going to make the birth. Thankfully, I did make the birth. Unfortunately, my wife had to endure 15 hours of labor, but the actual delivery was very, very quick. Surprisingly quick, actually. It took about 3 minutes from the first push to the child being born. So thankfully, despite being 3.5 weeks early, she is perfectly healthy, and I'm very grateful for that. I'm grateful for my family, and I'm happy to be on this peak and enjoy this amazing scenery. All right, I'm getting close to the divide, or at least the trailhead, or sorry, the trail intersection at the divide that goes to the Serpent Lake Trailhead. And I think I'm going to save South Jicarita for another day. It is unranked, so I don't really feel like desperate to get it. And I'm really beat. I checked my phone when I was at Trouble, and it said I had hiked 8 miles, which of course you don't need a PhD in nuclear engineering to know that 8 times 2 is 16. So that's a 16-mile trip, which is pretty good. It's probably overestimated a little bit, but even if it's in the 14 to 15 range, I feel like I've earned my lunch. And really, you know, I think if I didn't have to contend with the blowdown and the snow, I probably would do South Jicarita. But knowing that I'm gonna have to deal with that, like while I'm at my most worn out, I think I'm gonna save South Jicarita for another day. So I don't know if I'll show you anything else on the way down. It's kind of wasn't really the most hands-free hiking experience just because of all the, I mean, I have 3 points of contact. So if not, thanks for joining me on this awesome hike in this beautiful scenery of New Mexico. Thanks. See you again later.